All right, so I'm going to get into the presentation here. So basically what I'm going to do with you guys, we've got about an hour and 15 minutes. I'm going to give you like 15 minutes of a presentation, and then we'll get right into some live interactive. So it's great to see that everybody's got their computers here, because what I want you to really get out of this is to not only see the opportunity, but to start implementing some of these things that we teach on how you can use these tools to further expand your network and just connect with key decision makers and hopefully help you land that dream job over the next couple of years. So I'll give you a little background into myself here. Oh, and this is going to pick up the wrong one. So I'll tell you who I am first of all, and relate it to a personal branding story. So kind of like how I got into this whole space. And again, how you can use social media and LinkedIn in particular to land that dream job. And the big mistake that a lot of people make when they start using tools like LinkedIn. I'll tell you what that is. So why you can't afford to ignore it, and then we'll get into some questions. So I'm going to tell you about myself first of all. So about 15 years ago, I was defined as this guy. I was a hockey player growing up in Canada, had some success, played at the University of Saskatchewan, college hockey. Actually went to school at Iowa State for a little bit as well, but that was the closest that I came to winning the Stanley Cup as a player, which was as a guy in his street clothes at the Hockey Hall of Fame. So I decided that it was, time to stop pursuing that dream, but I still love sports, so I wanted to figure out how I could get into it. But what I did was I went and I got my marketing degree at the University of Saskatchewan, and from there I figured, what am I going to do? I got to go get a job, right? So I went and became a sales guy. It was a prototypical thing for, an ex-athlete to go and get into the sales side of things. So I started to feel like this guy, though, unfortunately, after a little bit, just because I was being taught the old way of selling, which was cold calling and just doing whatever you got to do to make the sale. So I really did not like that side of my life. But I had the opportunity in about 4 years ago to work with the Calgary Stampeders, which is a Canadian Football League team, on their social side of things. So this is when social media was just starting to kind of be a buzzword, and the teams had come to us, or the Stampeders in particular, and said, we hear about this Facebook thing, but we don't really know what to do, and what happens if somebody says something bad about us? What do we do then? And we had a lot of, talking them off the ledge to do, in the sense that we had to tell them that people are already talking about you, they're talking about your brand if you're nowhere to be found. And we discussed this morning in the class, you got to be there, you got to be present. So we helped them overcome the fears, and then we implemented social media into their game day strategies, their sponsorship, their sales, their marketing. And we launched a site called Stamps Connect, which at the time was very cutting edge. It was just pulling in all the social accounts that they had into one space, but then also allowing the fans to tag their content on YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, on Facebook, and pull it into this site. So it was almost like a fan board using social tools. Nowadays, you have widgets and everything else that you can easily embed into sites, so it's kind of old hat, but at the time it was very cutting edge. So I took that opportunity and that experience, and I said, I want to get into the sports industry. So I had no experience really on the business side of it, other than doing a little consulting with a Canadian Football League team. So I launched a website called Sport Fan Connect, and this was the very first video that I ever did, with bad lighting, and we had the New York Islanders in Saskatoon, which is actually where I'm from, in the background. So the sound was bad, the lighting was bad, but I basically introduced myself as somebody that was going on the road to just connect and meet with as many people as possible in the sports industry, whether they be executives, consultants that worked with teams, athletes, and we just documented what was going on in the sports industry from a social perspective. And it allowed me to open up this whole new world that I didn't think was possible before. A great example was, we were in New York, we met with Tom Joly. The people on the left there is Tom Joly from the New York Times. He's a senior sports writer for the New York Times. Kathleen Hessertz owns a company in Charlotte called Sports Media Challenge. She's kind of best known, along with another gal, for getting Shaquille O'Neal on Twitter. So these were people that me in Saskatoon, a guy that likes the Riders that nobody else in the world has ever heard of before until today, I'm now connecting with these people. I'm meeting with them. I'm talking about best practice strategies with them. And it was all because I was using Twitter and LinkedIn in particular to connect with them on a business level, where I could show my expertise and really get to know what their challenges are and help them solve some of those problems. The other photo on the right there was from the Grey Cup, which is Canadian Football League championship, with Brett Wilson. So Brett Wilson is, are you guys familiar with Shark Den down here? No?
Yes.
Shark Tank. So or it's not Shark Den, it's something else. Shark Tank here, right, yeah. Dragon's Den in Canada. So he's one of the dragons on the Dragon's Den that's similar to like Shark Tank down here. So a very entrepreneurial guy. He was somebody that was, again, somebody I didn't think I'd get a chance to meet, that I was actually able to just hang out with. So why I'm telling you all this is it's a personal branding story. So for me, this guy that didn't have any experience was able to go in and really position myself as an authority in this area and go from being a hockey player to a sales guy to now being fortunate enough to stand up here and tell you guys about this kind of stuff and hopefully help you take advantage of these tools in a new digital age where, maybe some of the baby boomer older generation is not on there yet, but they're very quickly getting on these tools. And by you guys getting into this space right now, you really are going to be able to take advantage of it over the next couple of years. So again, this is what it's done for me, and so this is kind of expanding on what Katrina was saying with regards to what I do right now. So I obviously have used LinkedIn as a means to book numerous speaking engagements. I have, my own personal success story of conference organizers contacting me because they're simply going into LinkedIn and typing sports business consultant, sports business speaker, whatever it happens to be. If I wasn't optimizing my profile to be found for those things, I would never be found. So just the fact that I did optimize my profile, I now get paid to speak at these conferences. So, I'm kind of my own case study in itself. And then, so T3 Connect is my own business where I work with some athletes and brands. Sports Networker, which you may, have you guys heard of Sports Networker before? No? How many people have heard of Sports Networker before? Any hands? 4? Okay. How long have you known about it? What's your experience as far as your understanding of what Sports Networker is all about?
Found them through connections on Facebook.
Okay.
On a Warsaw Center page, they liked an article, so end up looking them up, learn a little bit about them, like the back, that sort of thing.
Right, so just recently then probably, right? In the last week or so. How about yourself?
Recent for me too. It was when I was getting career courses in August. Some suggestions.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what it is. Sports Networker is an online resource for people to help them excel in the sports industry. So learn from best practice, learn from leaders in the space, whether it be around sales or marketing or sponsorship, game day, athletes, and then really the main focus is how to land a job in sports. So you guys being in an MBA program, you probably have some experience already. So we really target this at people that are looking to break into the industry. The Sports Executives Association is more something where we've taken it to that next level where we do advanced trainings and we bring in people to help us do these trainings for the members of the Sports Executives Association. So that one's more of an exclusive one that we run as a membership site. So we actually we have like 30 writers that write for us on Sports Networker. It's an online blog. Sports Executives Association, we've currently got about 400 members in there. We run monthly webinars, all about educating in the sports industry. And then Sports Industry LinkedIn Group is the largest LinkedIn group focused around sports business online. So there's about 55,000 members currently in there. So it's a great place for people to come to and connect and talk about best practice examples and really leverage each other's networks from a LinkedIn perspective. Which leads me to why I'm here to talk to you guys here. So why social media? So sports is obviously a hot thing, right? You hear about, we mentioned this again this morning too, like everybody says they want to work in the sports industry, and a lot of times you get the response because it's cool, I really like sports. Well, everybody likes sports, right? There's tons of competition for these jobs. And, how do you stand out? How do you actually get your resume on the top of the pile or even bypass that application process to get in touch with the right person where you're not necessarily going through the traditional channels of, searching the job boards and trying to find ways to apply for jobs? Now, there's obvious ways. Education, right? You got your undergrad, you're currently in an MBA program. Great things to be doing. Obviously, you're learning about best practices. We get to hear from a guy like Declan this morning that has tons of experience and can give us his background and understanding of where things are at. Great example of that. Work experience, we jokingly say, but everybody that's done an internship job realizes that it's less about what you're learning as an intern and more about just doing crap work, right? So you're filling out spreadsheets, you're picking up coffee, you're tailing along behind somebody. You're not necessarily learning anything in the space that you want to be in. As you get past the internships and the school and everything, you're getting into regular jobs, so you are learning. But really, like, it's all about networking, and it's less about how many people you know nowadays, and more about how many people know about you. And that's what social media and LinkedIn in particular really gives you that sounding board to be able to do, is to control what people find when they Google you. Because people do go online and search your name right away. As soon as if they have any inclination of hiring you or recommending you or whatever it might be, they're going to Google your name. So that first impression is absolutely critical. And it's maybe, somewhat known now, but probably a little known fact that LinkedIn is one of the highest ranking sites when it comes to searchability. So, like, here's an example of mine. My name, which I've registered my name as a domain, obviously comes up number 1 when I search my name, but number 2 is my Twitter account, and number 3 is LinkedIn. These 3 are direct reflections of a person's first impression when they go to find out more about me. So what am I saying about that? And these are kind of the things that I want to show you guys. So the big mistake I referenced earlier, that's, a lot of people when they're first entering into this social space and trying to figure out how to use these tools is, how do I reach out to these key decision makers? The big mistake that they always make is they make it about them. So, what can you do for me? Can you hook me up with this guy? Can you send an introduction to this person for me? Those tactics don't work. They don't work in real life. When you walk up to somebody and meet them for the first time, you can't ask for an introduction to somebody in their network without first offering some value and finding out what their needs are, or even simply just asking a question. People love to talk about themselves and their own story. And that's really what we do around the sports networker side of things, is we interview people without any expectation of getting anything in return other than to learn from them and to help other people learn from them as well. So that builds relationships. And that's what it all comes down to, is the fact that, good business is still personal. We can look at the science of all this stuff, but, there's a great quote here that 18 holes of match play will tell you more about your foe than 19 years of dealing with him across the desk. And again, references the fact that, business-wise, the best deals are still done based on personal relationships and getting to know people aside from what they do on a day-to-day basis, about their kids, their family, their favorite teams, whatever it might be, causes that they support. So these tools allow you to do that. And again, I'm not an advocate here to say that, everything that we've ever learned about networking should be thrown out the door. Social media is just meant to enhance what we already inherently do, which is try and connect and meet with the right people to be able to land these jobs. So LinkedIn, a few stats for you, but 120 million members currently. There's actually, this just changed within the last month or so. There's 2 new members added per second. So previous it was 1 new. Since they went public, they've really taken off. It's got into the mainstream media, so people are starting to take notice of it. And a lot of times, who cares about the amount of people that are on there? But I think the biggest thing to take from this is that the older generations are getting on these. We're not seeing the biggest numbers there. Generation Y, the like 30 under 40 type thing in Generation X and whatnot, is definitely still the heaviest users and mostly the ones that are on these social tools. But we're seeing the most increase in participation in that like 40 to 60 age group. And these are decision makers. These are the people that are in control of budgets and in control of jobs and opportunities and everything that you guys need. So especially in the sports industry, you see every single league and team and agency and sponsors right across the board are represented on LinkedIn. So the bottom line is you can't afford to ignore it anymore. So we're going to get right into some live interactive training here, and I'm going to ask for some feedback from people, and we're going to point you out and hopefully not make fun of you, but I want you guys to really be able to just take something away from this where you can see some improvements instantly in your profiles. So these are some of the things that we're going to do. We're going to first of all talk about how to optimize your profiles, so to make sure that you actually can be found. So when people Google your name, that your LinkedIn profile is going to come up high for the reasons that you want it to, not because you have party photos from back in high school that have been put up online that you didn't even know about but have your name on them, right? And then so controlling what people find. So building your network. So how to add connections using the 3X rule, and this goes back to the concept of, you know, not making it all about you. So how can you reach out to people in a way that makes them actually want to respond, and in a non-intrusive kind of way. So the value of recommendations, how to connect with these key decision makers, and finally becoming an expert authority on the niche that you want to be involved in, whether it be sponsorship or sales or you know, on the team side or league side, whatever it happens to be. So that's a lot of stuff, but I want to leave it open to questions too, and I really want this to be interactive where you guys can ask questions and based on your own personal experiences. So.